Okay, so in the interest of time, we're going to get started now, and hopefully more folks will be joining us. Good local time. Welcome to our online workshop titled Back to the Field, Community Design After COVID-19. My name is Jeff Howe. I'm a professor of landscape architecture at the University of Washington, and also a member of the steering committee for the APRU, Association of Pacific Rim Universities, Sustainable Cities and Landscapes Hub. And I'll be the host for today's workshop as well as tomorrow. It's great to see so many old friends and new faces today. As of 3 days ago, we have about 264 registered participants for the 2-day event. Before we go into the substance of today's workshop, I'd like to invite a few folks who have been involved with this workshop and the webinar series to introduce themselves and also to say a few words. So first, Associate Professor Ye-Kang Ko from the University of Oregon, who is also the Program Director for the APRU Sustainable Cities and Landscape Hub. So Ye-Kang, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 APRU Sustainable Cities and Landscapes webinar series. So today's session is our very first webinar in our series. So thank you so much for joining. And before we get started, I just want to mention a couple of things about APRU and our Sustainable Cities and Landscapes program. Yeah, for those of you who are not familiar with the APRU, APRU is the Association of Pacific Rim Universities. It's a network of 60 leading universities linking the Americas, Asia, and Australasia. We leverage collective education and research capabilities of our members into the international public policy process. The Sustainable Cities and Landscapes program is one of the APRU's primary research programs to collaborate on effective solutions to the challenges of the 21st century. So the Sustainable Cities and Landscapes program is housed at the University of Oregon. And this year, celebrating our fifth year anniversary since it was established in 2016, we offer a live webinar series organized by our working groups and our key partners. Starting from today, there will be 10 bi-weekly thematic webinars until the mid-December this year. So after the 2-day online workshop today and tomorrow, the next webinar will be organized by the University of Auckland in New Zealand, entitled Towards Smart Cities in the Pacific Rim, Towards Smart Sustainable Cities in the Pacific Rim, on September 3rd, 1 p.m. in New Zealand time, and 9 a.m. in Hong Kong, and September 2nd for Americas, 6 p.m. in Pacific time. I hope you continue to join us and explore how cities and regions across the Pacific Rim address the climate change and social equity to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the workshop.
Thank you, Ye-Kang. And I also like to introduce Grace Graham, who is helping to handle the logistics and technical matters, and she's a student from the University of Oregon. And this is one who admitted you to the meeting, so very important. All right, so let's see. All right, so we have a number of very important people. So this is our organizing committee. So people have been involved with organizing this particular workshop. And I also like to invite them to say a few words. So first, Idolina Matteo Fabiano from University of Melbourne.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's currently 11 a.m. on my part. And yes, I'm Durley. I'm a senior lecturer in urban planning. And yes, thanks, Jeff, for inviting me to be part of the organizing committee. I'm very honored and happy to be, to be part of this committee. And yeah, sorry, I'm late as well. Just wanted to also let you know that I'm really excited to be part of this conference and to moderate a session tomorrow. And I think one of the things that was really interesting for me to be part of this community is understanding, having a better understanding of using alternative platforms to engage with different individuals, with all of you, as well as with the communities that I work with as part of my teaching. And that has been quite interesting how, a very much fieldwork-based subject that I'm leading has now moved online. And I guess the challenges and problems and opportunities associated with that. And yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Right. All right, and next, Jay Roberts from UNSW Sydney.
Hello, everybody. I'm also really glad to be here. Working on this with Jeff. Jeff did most of the work. Working on this with Jeff has been really energizing to see all the good work that's out there. So I'm looking forward to our 2 days.
Great, wonderful. All right, and then Arijit Sen from University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to welcome all of you guys and thank you all for coming. Thanks to the organizing committee, APRU, and actually Jeff, who really took on so much of it and made this happen. I'm looking forward to the next 2 days.
Thank you, Arijit. And then Tan Bien Kiang from National University of Singapore.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bien Kiang. I'm Associate Professor at the Department of Architecture in National University of Singapore. I'm also a member of the Pacific Rim Community Design Network. So I'm very happy Jeff approached me to help out, but yes, as everyone said, he did most of the work. I was also the host and organizing committee for the last physical Pacific Rim Community Network conference held in Singapore in our university. So I'm very glad we managed to have another get together again in this virtual platform. So I look forward to these 2 days of meeting everybody. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Bien Kiang. I think we're all looking forward to meeting face to face, hopefully sometime soon. All right, and Naomi Uchida from Saitama University. Naomi,
hi.
go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff, for helping me to log into the Zoom. I couldn't find the URL, so I was so terrified. And my name is Naomi Uchida. I'm a professor at the Saitama University in Japan, and I will be a moderator for the Room 3 today, the day 1. And also, I am also a vice director of some design center for community. And so during the pandemic, I also had the experiences like occupying the sidewalks, in collaboration with the local shopping merchants and with the deregulation by the central government. And I think those kind of experimental things will change the way we use the street in Japan. And I also am looking forward to hearing your experiences in this workshop. So thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, let me try to share a screen. I have a short presentation to kind of help set the stage for the workshop. Okay, just bear with me. All right, so I hope this worked. So for those who have just joined us, this is the workshop titled "Back to the Field: Community Design After COVID-19." First of all, I want to take the opportunity to say a few words about the Pacific Rim Community Design Network. Although the workshop is the first in a series of webinars hosted by APRU SCL, this is also a gathering of the Pacific Rim Community Design Network. And so we're sort of double dipping here as far as event goes. The Pacific Rim Community Design Network was founded in 1998 at a gathering of community design scholars from Japan, Taiwan, and the US at the University of California, Berkeley. The initial idea was to have a series of 3 conferences, one in each places in the US, Japan, and Taiwan. The meeting had been so invigorating and inspiring for many of us that the conference have continued ever since. In Hong Kong in 2002, Seattle 2004, in Quanzhou, China 2007, and then back in Japan in 2010, Seoul in 2012, and back in Taiwan again in 2014. Hong Kong, 2016. Many thanks to our friends at CUHK, especially Hendrik and Mikan for hosting us. And then we were, as Ben Ken mentioned before, we were in Singapore for the first time in 2018, joined by the Great Asian Street Symposium and the Structural for Inclusion meeting. And that also happened to be our 20th anniversary, and also our last in-person meeting. And through these conferences, a large body of knowledge about community design practices in the Pacific Rim have been produced in form of conference proceedings, as well as books such as Design as Democracy, Techniques for Collective Creativity. It was published by Adam Press in 2017. And so many of the folks here are also part of this particular project. But perhaps even more importantly, many of us in the network have been working with each other through workshop, charrettes, exchange visits, study tours, symposium, community events, you name it. So if you're interested in the network, you may visit our website by scanning the QR code here. The code will stay on for the next slides as well. And we're also active on social media. So many of you probably learned about this workshop through these groups or pages. And for those who are not there already, please look us up as well. Right, so on to today's event. Starting last year, we have been working with APRU SCL on a number of initiatives. First, a webinar series focusing on civil society responses during COVID-19, particularly in helping the marginalized people who have been, these efforts have been truly remarkable. And so that became the focus of a 2-part series webinar that we have organized in July of last year. So thanks again to speakers. Some of you are here also today, and for participating in that event, also sharing with us the first-hand experiences of last year. Earlier this year, we had the opportunity to work with APRU again on hosting an event as part of a new webinar series that Yekang had just introduced in the beginning. So in lieu of an annual conference that we could not organize this year. So I sent an email to a group of active members asking if there are any ideas for webinar theme or topic. And so one thing you need to know about the Pacific Rim Community Design Network is that there's no structure or hierarchy, so just simply everything can self-organize in this way. So within a few hours, I received the first email from Origin who is interested in the topic of field school. So how the way we engage students to work with and learn from communities in the field. And then there's a flurry of emails. First from Dean Sakamoto, who's also here today at the Shea Institute in Honolulu, who's interested in this idea of fieldwork. And then Hendrik Thieben from CUHK, interested in field study. And then Durley, who's also on the organizing committee, interested in this idea of field studio. And then finally, Ben Kiang from AUS, interested in participatory community engagement in the new normal. So that's, there are other emails that are too many to include here. This is just a small sampling of the communication that happened before. So that's basically how we came up with this theme of back to the field, community design after COVID-19. So by after COVID-19, we don't mean that the pandemic or the crisis is over, that we can go back to doing what we did before, but rather that we might be faced with a new reality or a new normal after COVID-19. And that has many implications for what we do as community design scholars, educators, and professionals. Okay, so specifically, we're interested in these questions. So with the ongoing spikes of cases around the world, will we be able to return to the field and fully resume our practices? For places that have recovered from outbreaks, what have we learned from the pandemic, from the crisis that may require us to approach community design differently? And then what changes have already been adopted in ongoing practices of community engaged design and learning? There are a couple more. So how can community design address the long-standing social divides that have become even more evident during the pandemic? And then lastly, how can fieldwork and field school in particular serve as a vehicle to bridge those social divides? So we're very thankful to everyone who have submitted their proposals and accepted our invitation to join the events. We have folks from Australia, Cambodia, Ecuador, Hong Kong, Japan, New Zealand, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and the United States. So truly perseverant in many sense. This is also probably the, based on the register of participants, probably the largest gathering that we have had in the network's history. So thanks in part to the convenience of technology. All right, so without further ado, this is our program for today. If you don't have the program in PDF in hand, you could get a copy by scanning the QR code. And then as soon as this introductory session is over, we'll be opening the breakout room. The presenters will be assigned to their rooms automatically. For everybody else, you will need to choose which room to go. And then once you're in the room, you can also hop from one room to another to check out a different presentation if you're interested. So briefly, in room one, we have a collection of presentations focusing on the critical importance of fieldwork in different contexts, practice contexts, educational contexts, and so forth. In room two, the presentation will focus on ongoing experimentations in mixing online and offline modes of engagement. And then in room three, the presenters will focus on the role of places and placemaking after the COVID-19. All right, and we also have the part two of our workshop tomorrow with 3 more concurrent sessions and a wrap-up discussion in the main room after the concurrent session. They're happening in the breakout room. So please join us again tomorrow as well. And then before we open the breakout room, I just want to take the opportunity to thank again my fellow organizing committee members and also APRU, SCL, particularly Yakan, Ko and Grace Graham, and all the folks who have been working behind the scene. All right, so are there any questions before we go to the sessions? Okay, great. We are actually ahead of schedule by a couple minutes. So, Grace, you may open the breakout rooms, and we'll hopefully find issuers will find way there. If you have trouble with getting to your breakout room, Grace here can help you with it.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
She's like the operator. You can just tell her which room you're in.
Yes, and I will be staying in the main room as well. So if you get confused or need to go to a different room or have questions, you can always return to the main room and I will be there. Also, just a quick reminder before I open the breakout rooms, moderators, please remember to press record in your breakout rooms before the presentations begin. I will go ahead and open the rooms now.
Great, thank you. I found you in the room.